welcome. This is Leading Las Vegas. I am Danielle Ford of DanielleFord.com, where visibility makes a difference. And today, my guest here is JD Scott. He is amazing. He is the host of HGTV, among many other things. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background, what you do, and what you do for HGTV?
Sure. Yeah, I've been a host for HGTV now for a few years. I do a number of shows. I'm on Brother vs. Brother, Property Brothers at Home, All American Amusement Parks. The list kind of goes on and on and on. But yeah, I do a lot of work online as well. I'm a social media influencer, which is how I met you originally.
Yeah. Through Periscope. JD was so nice to be on a panel for an event we had, like, what was that, a year ago?
Yeah, that's about a year
Perry
ago.
Vegas, when Periscope was just kind of getting really hot and it was really popular. So
yeah,
that was very, very nice of you. I had some questions. You know, I always get asked from my clients and my audience about separating your personal life and kind of like your true self versus your work, if you're using social media for business and if you are an influencer. So I thought that would be a great thing to ask you, because you also have the celebrity status. You know, you're not just a business professional, but you probably have a lot of people, different people wanting a certain image from you.
Right.
And the thing I love about you, you know, if you guys Google JD, you're going to fall down a rabbit hole of information, because he's so just charismatic and unique and very, you can tell, just very authentic to who he is.
I paid her to say all these things.
No, some people like don't even think that's a good quality, but you can tell like you just don't give a fuck. Like you're just being yourself.
Well, I mean, I do. I give a. But the thing is, you're right. You know, you have to kind of define where's that line when you have a business or a brand or a persona. How much of your personal self can you put out there for that brand? And because I'm on a network that is fairly conservative, I can't put absolutely anything out there online that I want to. I blur the line a lot. I mean, I do like to still show myself through there. So it's not like I'm pretending to be someone else, but I have dialed it down a little bit. Well, I might not dive into as extremely controversial subjects as I might talk about before I was on TV. But I do like to, you know, stir the pot a little bit, and I like to get people thinking, but I also like to make people laugh, and I like to keep it light at times. It can't all be serious, and it can't all be funny. You know, you gotta kind of have the broad spectrum of what you're going to talk about.
Do you think there is a balance, like a percentage, like maybe if you're gonna like let your true colors show only this much, or this much to be business?
Yeah, well, it really depends on what your business is, because there's certain areas that it's important that you are very reserved and you don't show certain sides or have certain views, and it depends on what you do for a living. Myself, I do like to show who I am. So the network knows that, my fans also know that, and I think they respect that I normally show a lot of the actual JD when I'm talking to them. So I think you've seen that probably in videos and whatnot that I do. If I was to give an actual percentage, I'd say maybe I hold back like 5%.
That's not very much.
You don't want to see that 5%. That's a scary area.
That's got to be pretty crazy. Very cool. So I have a question. I get it. I try to be authentic, you know, in my Periscopes and live streams. But then there's some things that you don't necessarily like need to be authentic about. When people ask you personal questions you don't want to answer, do you ever feel like you're hiding from your audience, or like maybe your audience deserves to know the true you, but there's some things like you just don't need to share? How you handle that?
Well, you know what? There isn't a lot of questions that I won't answer. Like and I find that even if something is maybe a touchy subject matter, you can work around that to still answer it in a way that people will be satisfied, but maybe you're not giving 100% of you know, the information that's out there.
Kind of like teetering on the line a little bit.
Yeah, you know, you're just kind of massaging what the answer that you're giving them, because you know, life is all about perspective and about respect, and you have to be respectful for your audience. There's lots of people out there that you've got conservative people, you've got people who are liberal, you've got children. So I don't ever want to offend people. I don't ever want to say something that is, you know, inappropriate for kids to read or to see. So I just try and I keep that all in mind when I'm when I'm posting, when I'm on TV, anything that I'm doing, I just want to bear in mind who my audience is and what they're going to want to get out of that experience.
Yeah, I like that. What would you say is the best way to create those relationships with people? If someone is just starting out and let's say they have a business or they're in an industry that is professional but not necessarily super conservative and they want to create an audience and develop really strong relationships with them, what kind of like social media would you suggest for them?
Well, that's a good question. First off, know who your audience should be.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on what your business is or what you're trying to accomplish, whether that's TV or a public figure or running a sandwich shop,
Mm-hmm.
know who the people are that you want to bring in. And also know that sometimes your personality with your friends and your family maybe isn't right for the public persona.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you drop the F-bomb a lot, you got to sometimes be aware, that it will not work in every situation. Now, as far as what social media to use, well, there's just so much out there. Like, it can be boggling to try and wrap your head around.
Overwhelming.
And I use a lot of different stuff. Primarily at this point, my focus is Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Patreon. But those are the ones that I found work best for me at this point. And that's not to say that there isn't other ones that I should be using, because new stuff is starting all the time. I was just talking to you earlier about this. Musical.ly and Lively are becoming huge. So you just need to find out where your audience sits mostly. If you have a lot of young kids are your target audience, well, then you should be on Snapchat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just got to look at the demographic.
I feel like you're right, especially with like the younger kids. As soon as their parents get there, they're like not interested in that platform anymore.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
There was a good article that said like the olds are coming to Snapchat.
Yeah. So, and that's not what the kids want. They want that to be their area. But it's also good. I wasn't using Snapchat for a long time, and I went to VidCon, a big conference in LA, and they were telling us why we need to be on there. It's because there's this whole other group of young people that we weren't accessing. Mm-hmm. They love it. They know how to use it. And the older people weren't even trying to because they didn't understand it. So
I was actually having a conversation with a friend who's a big Periscoper and Snapchatter, and he's in Europe and he has a chocolate shop. And he was just telling me last night that he's 52 and he's been on Snapchat for 4 years.
Okay.
And while he feels like he saw something other people didn't, he used to get like people thinking he was a creeper. They would be like, "What are you doing on Snapchat? Are you sending weird pictures? Are you like, what's the point?" But to be on these kind of platforms as a business owner, especially like a brick and mortar or somebody like that, and to be able to like see the value of that audience, I think is really special. So. You've done a great job on social media and balancing out, like not just relying on your network to get you an audience, but also like going out and being proactive about that.
Yeah, and I think that's important too. You can't rely just on one aspect. You have to kind of venture out into every branch of it. And I push myself and push the envelope for social media constantly. And I think that's why I've been fairly successful at gaining the audience that I have.
Let me ask you a question, especially now that we're kind of in this crazy political area.
Uh-oh, here we go. Okay. Politics.
Where do you think that fits into your social media, your audience, how much you share, your opinions? What would you suggest for that?
So that is a very, very difficult subject because everyone is so vastly different in their views when it comes to politics, any subject like that, religion. Mm-hmm. But if something is very, very important to you, I feel like it is your duty to kind of talk about it. And especially if you have concerns about the atmosphere of what's going on in the world and politics, then you can talk about that in a reasonable manner online without offending people, mm-hmm. And without downright telling others that they're wrong, because we all have different opinions. You don't want to accuse someone of being wrong. They're different. They have a different opinion than you. Mm-hmm. But I do that. If something is important to me, I talk about it. But I do this mostly on Facebook, and I have live chats, and we have developed this really respectful community where people come in and they'll tell me their opinion. And if it's different than mine, I want to know why. Like, why do you feel this way? Maybe I'll change some of my ideas, or maybe my ideas will change some of yours. So there's a way to do it. I think that the key is just respect. Don't don't go out there with the idea of attacking or trolling somebody. See if you can understand why they think the way they do.
That's a really good point. Do you ever feel like, or are there any kind of like legalities with your network, or even if somebody had sponsorships, maybe if, you know, that company didn't agree, would you just...
Well, that's, I mean, that plays into a lot of areas of what I do in general is I can't burn bridges.
Right.
So, every once in a while, I will pop onto Twitter and I will call out a company if I've gotten bad service or a product breaks. But I'm not doing it really in an aggressive way. I'm just letting them know this is what happened. I don't ever want to ostracize a company because there could be a point where down the road, maybe I do need to work with them.
Right.
Maybe there's a sponsorship option down the road. So you always have to keep that in mind is you don't want to burn your bridges. Anything's possible down the road unless you severely offend them, then that's not going to happen.
And you just never know, like, who knows who.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
the world of entertainment or business is a small world. Like everyone does seem to know each other. So you got to be careful what you say and who you say it to.
I know I kind of like struggle with that because I'm super opinionated and I'm just kind of like, I want to, you know, say what I feel and not hold back. But I feel like sometimes your audience will trust you more if they know you're going to tell like the truth, even if it's bad.
Yeah.
Right. But then at the same time, you're like you said, got to be careful of like who you're pissing off also.
It's a balancing act. And
Yeah.
I think that the more we do this sort of stuff, the more we realize that. And you can be opinionated and you can have ideas about something, but you can also put those out there in a way that it's not or you haven't done damage that can't be undone. You know? Like you can still talk to that company or that person and maybe sort things out eventually. But like you said before, like my network has a lot of brand deals. And so if they have a deal with this company and I go out and I blast that company online and just call them for everything, then the network's not going to be happy with me. So I keep that in mind when I'm doing things. That's not to say that we don't all fail once in a while and you know, misstep, but you have to be able to accept responsibility. And if you make a mistake, just own up to it, and you can apologize. Apologies are a thing, you know. Not people don't tend to they don't do it enough, but I have apologized once in a while if I've offended somebody and I hadn't meant to.
I love that. Thank you. Can you tell us like what you're working on? Any cool projects in the works?
Yeah. So currently, I fly out in 2 days to Texas, and I'm filming the 5th season of Brother vs. Brother for HGTV. Let's see, we just finished up a show called Brothers Take New Orleans, and next up after that, I believe, is Property Brothers at Home. So we're busy, always on the road. My girlfriend, Annalie Bill, who you know, is doing makeup for us now. So we get to travel together and work together. So that's nice. So
a lot of people really know your brothers, and they know they kind of think there's only two, which was brought to light by the SNL skit.
Yes, yeah. There is a number of people out there that aren't aware there's 3 of us, but I'm changing that. One person at a time. I'm changing that, and the other, like you said, there was a NSL skit or SNL. Where they made a joke about me, and they called me Proppy, and it kind of,
you loved it.
It stuck. My fans started calling me Proppy, and I went with it. That's my new nickname. It's my license plate on my truck.
That's great. A lot of people don't like realize like that you have a really huge role in their success and in your company.
Yeah, we've been going for a long time. So we started doing what we do as teenagers in entertainment. In our early 20s, I think I was 20 when we got our first house. And we started renovating and flipping houses. And that was just to pay for our acting and production projects. And eventually, the two kind of meshed together. And here we are today. And we have a very successful brand and franchise. Very happy.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you online?
Well, if you want to find me online, my handle is pretty much the same on everything. It's Mr. JD Scott, Instagram, Snapchat, Periscope, Twitter, Facebook. I'll see you there.
Musically?
Well, I have one. Yes, there is a Mr. J. Scott. I haven't posted on it yet, but I got to start. I got to start.
On it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time and for coming and helping my audience with these questions. I really, really appreciate it.
It was my pleasure.
You're a wonderful guest. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next episode of Leading Las Vegas.
Bye.
Bye.